Hi, folks. So we're going to call the meeting to order. And Terry, I'm going to get you to do the next item, which is sale of municipal land, PID number 501-55795.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So just a little bit of a summary of what's occurring tonight. This is a public hearing which has been convened in accordance with paragraph 51 of the Nova Scotia Municipal Government Act to consider the sale of land for a nominal value to New Dawn Enterprise in partnership with the At Home Housing Association. The sale of land is to facilitate the construction of a housing development at PID 501-55795, being commonly referred to as the former Port Hawkesbury Arena and Lions Club property. The estimated market value of the land, not considering required site contamination remediation or demolition costs, which will be the responsibility of the purchaser, is $145,000. I just might add, just for clarification, the act of the sale of land will be subject to an agreement of purchase and sale. That purchase and sale agreement or agreement of purchase and sale will include a number of conditions. One I just mentioned, which is that the purchaser or New Dawn Enterprise will be responsible for demolition costs and costs associated with environmental remediation. Transfer of land will not occur, will only occur when there's adequate proof of project financing demonstrated to the town. And another condition is that the agreement must start within 2 years of the agreement being signed, and that a handover agreement from New Dawn Enterprises to the At Home Housing Association be in place after the signature of the execution of the agreement of purchase and sale. That agreement is actually already in place. So just a little bit of background. Council will consider a presentation that's going to be delivered from New Dawn Enterprises. Erica Shea is here on behalf of New Dawn, as well as presentations, both verbal and written, opposing and in favor for the donation of land at the PID described, 501-55795.
Thank you, Terry. So now we'll call Erica Shea up to do her presentation.
Thank you very much, Mayor and Council. It's lovely to be here. Appreciate the opportunity to come and talk a little bit more about a project that has been dreamt of and talked about for the last number of years. First, I'll say a little bit about New Dawn Enterprises. New Dawn is the oldest nonprofit community development corporation in Canada. In 2026, we turn 50 years old. We have a volunteer board of directors who oversees and helps with strategic planning and vision for our organization. We are made up of 18 separate nonprofits and charities. So we work in healthcare, food security, Meals on Wheels, immigration settlement, arts and culture. But our longest standing project in the community in the CBRF has been affordable and full market and supportive housing. All of the revenues that we earn get reinvested in new services and new programs and growing our desire to be of use to the community. So today we own and operate 85 housing units, and those are all low market and supportive housing units throughout the CBRM. We operate the Eldowig Arts Center, which is a nonprofit community space in a repurposed convent. We serve about 45,000 meals a year to seniors and individuals with disabilities through our Meals on Wheels program. We are the largest private home care provider on the island. We provide settlement for newcomers. We help them to find housing and secure employment and get children enrolled in school and get their first health card as they settle in and make Cape Breton their home. We're currently building a 25,000 square foot youth and family center in the community of Glace Bay for at-risk young people and their families who don't have any beautiful recreation space that is free and low barrier. We recently sort of stepped into providing supportive housing for youth who are homeless. And we, for a long time, have also provided care and housing for adults with disabilities. So the Macquarie Drive development that we're here to talk about today is a proposed mixed income community made up of 55 units. Those are 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units. The units are a combination of market rate units. So half of the 55 units would rent at what is market rate for the community. And so we've taken the CMHC average market rents for Cape Breton to kind of determine and put a pin in what market rent looks like here. And then the affordable units are at least 20% less than that. So to kind of put that in dollars and cents, we're looking at affordable 1 bedrooms renting at $700 a month, market 1 bedrooms renting at $900 a month, affordable 2 bedroom renting at $900 a month, market 2 bedroom at $1,200, affordable 3 bedroom at $1,200, and market 3 bedroom at $1,500. We would work with the Department of Opportunities and Social Development, as we have on a number of our other projects, to explore whether we can provide some share in the development of more deeply affordable supportive units. Those units would look like 30% of an individual's income as their rent. So the rent is determined on an individual basis. We have designed the building so that 30% of the units are fully accessible and barrier-free, with the intention of prioritizing those for individuals with physical disabilities and seniors in the community. As you can see here, this is a rendering of the proposed neighborhood. We have been working with a Cape Breton-owned architecture firm called Passive Design Solutions. They design highly energy efficient, net zero and net zero ready developments. So this is an early rendering of what the neighborhood will look like. Another view of the same. The site plan, and then the next slide is sort of the site plan just zoomed out a little bit. The estimated cost of the development is $12 million. And this includes, as the CAO referenced, costs for demolition of the existing building and any required environmental remediation. We have completed phase 1 and phase 2 environmental assessments of the site, and the site has been deemed to be clean. There's no contaminants of concern. So this project is ultimately a partnership between Nudon Enterprises and the newly constituted At-Home Housing Association. In all of the conversations about this project, it's been really important to the town that it be firmly rooted in Port Hawkesbury. And so the founding of the At-Home Housing Association has created an opportunity for New Dawn to begin the project and to bring its knowledge and experience with building buildings and operating buildings together with the birth of the At-Home Housing Association, who, as a nonprofit, very local housing organization, will go on to serve the community for the next 50 years here. So this picture is both members of the steering committee that helped pull together the first board and the first board of the At-Home Housing Association. So maybe if the folks here who are on the board from the At-Home Housing Association could just stand up and give a wave.
Not on the board, but I'm involved. Shan, did you stand up?
I stood.
Okay.
So New Dawn and At Home have signed a memorandum of understanding, an MOU that speaks specifically to the transfer of the property, its ownership and its operations from New Dawn to At Home in the first few years after the completion of the construction. And so New Dawn would sort of wind down as At Home is ramping up, and At Home is working in this developmental period to build its capacity and its on the ground experience with property management. The hope being, as soon as we get the keys in 2028, they're ready to go as property managers from day one, and we're there as a sounding board or to help with troubleshooting and to share templates and anything that we can do to be helpful. So to date, we were successful in securing a little bit of funding to do some of the preliminary assessment of the site through the Community Housing Transformation Center. That's a division of CMHC. So we've got the environmental assessment phase 1 and phase 2 complete. We have a geotechnical assessment complete, a Class B capital budget, the preliminary designs, and a site survey. All of this is required to be able to submit a funding application to the federal and provincial governments for the capital to build the development. So next steps, broken down into 3 phases. So if the town elects tonight to proceed with an agreement of purchase and sale with the conditions that Terry, CAO, had laid out, we will submit the application to Build Canada Homes. You may have heard of Build Canada Homes. It's the newest and it's quite a substantial funding program through CMHC to try to scale up the number of affordable and low market homes being built across the country. So our goal is to get that application submitted by end of February, which is in fact next week, or early March. And at the same time, we submit an application to the provincial government. They work in tandem. While this is happening, while the applications are being evaluated, we would complete the design work. So we have high level designs, but we need to get to issue for construction design. And then we would begin the tendering for general contractor and then all of the sub-trades that would be required to build the development of this scale. Finally, phase 3, our goal is to have construction started in the spring, summer, with an estimated completion date of 2028. Build Canada Homes puts a high priority on modular construction, and so it's possible in going down that path that we'll be able to speed up this timeline a little bit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Eric. You might have to keep the mic because council, we have some questions.
Okay.
So we're going to use our arena voices and you get to use the mic. So thank you first and foremost for your presentation. Really do appreciate. And just to point out that this particular project in the town of Port Hawkesbury, to the best of my knowledge, is the first project of its kind outside of the CVRM. So coming to Port Hawkesbury, seeing that opportunity in Port Hawkesbury and being willing to mentor our new at-home housing association to help build capacity. I just want to extend thanks for that. Thank you. And I'm going to open up the floor for some questions. And we do have our Councillor Ian Langley, participating online. Can you hear us okay, Ian? While he's getting himself oriented, we'll maybe start with our Deputy Mayor, Todd.
Thank you.
Over to you.
Great presentation, detailed. Could you just elaborate again just on the mix of housing that's involved there?
Yeah, so it's a mix of 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, and 3-bedroom units. And it's a mix of affordable units and market units. So currently it's set up as 50% market units, so 27 units rented at market rents and 27 units rented at affordable rents. We have been having some really great conversations with other organizations in the community who serve different populations and may be interested in what's called a master lease. And so they might look to lease 5 units for use by their clientele. We would expect that the building would be a mix of seniors, families, newcomers, working professionals, perhaps from time to time, students from NSCC. So open to everyone, anyone who is looking for a rental unit in the town.
No, I think that's important, chairing the Grow Port Hawkesbury. I mean, we want to attract business. Business needs workers need housing. So it's the wheel keeps turning, and that's
Absolutely.
thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Barrett. Councillor McCory.
Thank you, Your Worship. Thank you for the presentation. It's very positive to hear 30% of the units are going to be totally accessible. I know you're still in the preliminary design phase. There looks to be buildings in that design that may be 3 and 4 stories. Is that correct?
So the preliminary design is 3 stories, but we're talking to the architects about the possibility of transitioning to 2 stories. So just to eliminate some of the staircases in the buildings, it would mean the development would have a slightly larger footprint to keep the 54 units, but doing it as 2 stories instead of 3 stories. That would mean then that we could take 50% of the units and have them be accessible and barrier-free because they would be ground floor. So it would increase the number of accessible and barrier-free units from 30% of the development to 50% of the development.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. Just checking to see if Councillor Langley, are you able to hear us okay?
Yes, you're loud and clear. Interesting presentation, and I wish the proponents much success.
He might be able to maybe when he can. He's in transit, so hopefully he'll be able to ask any questions. I did have a couple of questions, Erica, if you don't mind. We did share a lot on social media about this pending development. Lots of great questions, lots of great feedback. And I believe the reach of just 2 posts just from yesterday was exceeded 50,000 views and lots of great comments. But there was some questions in the mix. So my first question that I have is about pet friendly. Is there any consideration around having units that are pet friendly?
Yeah. So ultimately, when we're designing and then operating a housing development, the goal is to create an environment that everyone feels safe and really comfortable in. So our experience and our default to date is yes to pets. So certainly smaller pets. And then it becomes a one-on-one conversation if somebody wants to come with 7 very large dogs. Small dogs, cats, fish, birds, and then it's a conversation around the larger dog breeds and just whether they fit in a way that lets everyone's neighbors continue to feel safe and comfortable.
I know there's a lot of people that will be very happy to know that there could be some good accommodations around pet ownership, and yeah, no, that's wonderful. Another question that I had was around community parking. So I do understand that there's going to be some because the development is displacing some of the parking that people use currently. What is the plan to incorporate some community parking into the design?
And so we have laid out currently, we have 54 units and 60 parking spaces in the interior parking court. And then street parking. And I think that the designers had been in contact with the CAO to talk about how, looking at the property, some overflow parking could be accommodated for folks who are used to parking directly on that site. I don't have any of those more advanced renderings with me. I think Castle Design was working on those.
Right, Terry.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So if we look at the site plan, I
Just have
I
to,
think
just have to speak
project.
louder.
Okay. I think the designer has incorporated those areas of proposed parking enhancement in the last site plan drawing that you have. So if we put that up, and I can do that. Okay, right there. Can we go back one? Right there. Let's stop.
Stop.
So a little bit hard. Do we have the pointer, or we can, if you look, maybe I'll do that. If we look up there, you see the rec shed. So tennis courts, basketball courts. There's the rec shed. So we're looking at there's substantial room for parking in that area. And the thing about that parking, right now, we park on the old rink side. And we eliminated parking on the other side because it was dangerous with kids running out in between cars. So right now, anyone going to, or for the most part, anyone going to the playground must cross that road and be subject to those safety hazards. If we look at developing beside the rec shed, that gets you on the right side of the road onto an accessible path into that playground. The other area that we have, we've been working on enhancing the parking behind the ball field. So there's 2 accessible parking stalls that are designed for that, and an increase in parking behind the ball field. The other area is actually on, which we're working with the mall owner, which is right up here. So the mall is here. That's the land in between the old rink and the mall. So looking at coming to an agreement with the existing mall owner on some on parking spaces there. So that's that, and we have to remember that this is preliminary design. So there's concept design. Once once New Dawn proceeds to more final design, then we start to make those plans more formal and work within what we have there. The other area too is the parking lot for the curling club. So that's another discussion with the curling club, but basically that parking lot sits empty during the summer. And that's when we need parking for the playground and for ball fields and that kind of thing.
Thanks, Terry.
Okay.
The other question, and I know you did mention it in your presentation, Erica, we might have to give you back the mic. Because your voice is only a little. In your presentation, you did kind of take us through some of the numbers of what market is, what affordable is, and whatever that formula is for deeply affordable in partnership with other support networks. So if you could kind of,
Do that again?
yeah, because
Sure.
we went through it, I just,
Yeah. So we have set an affordable rate and a market rate for 1 bedrooms, again for 2 and for 3. So an affordable 1 bedroom is set at $700, a market 1 bedroom at $900, an affordable 2 bedroom at $900, and a market 2 bedroom at $1,200, an affordable 3 bedroom at $1,200, and a market 3 bedroom at $1,500. And then as we, on this project, work with the Department of Opportunities and Social Development at the province, we explore the extent to which they want to become a partner to help offer deeply affordable units, which are set at 30% of an individual's income. So our most recent housing development in Sydney is a partnership with the Department of Opportunities and Social Development. All of the tenants there are on income assistance, and so their rent is $217 a month because that is 30% of their rent allocation in their income assistance. So someone could be on CPP or OAS, or they could be working and need a deeply affordable unit at 30% of their income. And so that rate is set as part of their intake process into the building.
that's perfect. I'm just communicating with Counselor Langley. Okay, so he's gone through security. He's gonna get to a quiet corner maybe. If he does have a question, we'll afford him that.
Wonderful.
That's
Absolutely.
hopefully at some later point, but we will. Thank you very much for answering our questions. I would like to move now to gallery presentations. So Terry's going to give a bit of a description in terms of how that will flow.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So there were no formal presentations received from residents or others. But we do have indication from a number of people who have expressed an interest of presenting or speaking to council, either in favor of or opposed to. So we would ask, due to the number of people in the audience, we would ask that presentations be kept to approximately 3 minutes, both for and against. The mayor will ask for people first to come up and to present on concerns with respect to the proposal, or as it's stated in the agenda, those opposed to the proposal.
Thank you, Terry. So Melissa will, if you would like to come up to the mic, I'll make the first call for opposing presentations. So I'd ask for you to introduce yourself and make your presentation. And if there are any information that we can provide in response, we will do our best to do so. So I do have to make 3 calls for presentations opposing. So the second call for presentations opposing. And the third call for presentations opposing.
Worship, okay.
Absolutely.
Good evening, Your Worship, Town Council, distinguished guests and fellow residents. Before this meeting, I had sent in a rather lengthy manifesto of presentation points, just with respect to, unfortunately, there was limited information available to the proposal, and wanted to cover all of my bases. I'm pleased to say that in having a chance to speak with Ms. Shea and Town Council and Your Worship, 95% of those points have been set aside, and it seems like overall a very well thought out project. With that being said, I would like to express limited concern and opposition to a very specific aspect of it. I would request that most of my presentation be set aside, but I would like to focus on the point of sort of logistics and infrastructure, if I may. I've been a longtime resident of Port Hawkesbury. I'm a resident of Summit Park. I've been here long enough to remember when the rink was actually a rink. And as such, I know that our town has grown, largely in credit due to the efforts of our town council and Your Worship and the community. But in doing so, we've also seen that put strain on our resources. We've seen, for example, healthcare needs rise. We've seen increased traffic on our streets. We've seen daycare rates rise. And in particular, the intersection nearest that development, the Reeves Street, Reynolds Street intersection, the traffic has grown to such a concern that it formed a plebiscite on our most recent municipal election. Adding an additional number of units to that area obviously will increase the traffic, and as discussed, it will increase parking needs. Obviously, the rink is particularly well frequented, and I know that there was some discussion about proposed parking solutions. And my concern is that a lot of that is speculative. You know, we've talked about, well, maybe we could, consult with the curling rink, or we're in the process of consulting with the shopping mall. Unfortunately, those are just speculations. They're not concrete proposals. And what we're hearing is, well, there might be a solution here, or there might be a solution there. I would ask that the town speak to, or Ms. Shea, somebody, speak to the specifics of how we're going to address the increased burden of infrastructure on the community, and what is actually established as opposed to what might happen if this goes ahead and this goes ahead and this goes ahead. I thank you for your time, and I yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you.
I can,
Would you want to do?
I can start off
Yes,
if it's okay.
yes, it's perfectly okay.
Yeah, so population of the town of Port Hawkesbury has been decreasing since 1991. Okay. Population of the town of Port Hawkesbury has been decreasing since about 1991. In 1991, there was about 4,000 people in town. Now there's about 3,200. Where that little rink was, where the Lions Club was a center of activity, and there was considerable traffic in and around that area at that time. And what we want to do is to put that activity back on that corner. We have a property that needs improvement, and we have a town that needs housing. And we feel that this is an excellent opportunity to be able to move forward with that. Anytime there's a building permit process goes through, traffic volumes, the traffic is a consideration and has to be designed for that. As we mentioned before, the exact layout of this building is not set yet, but when it is, the town has a commitment to make that it will increase the parking outside of the old rink property in a manner that's going to make it more safe for the public, specifically children. That's part of that answer. I know that hasn't answered all of your questions. At this time of the project, that's the way it goes. So a project has to evolve. You start with a concept and then you move it ahead, but that's where we're at. Yes, town could have, we have to have more dialogue with the curling club. We have to have more dialogue with the shopping center as well. But we will commit to doing that.
Uh,
Sure, yeah.
Thank you. Sure, thanks. Thank you, Mr. Doyle. I'm your worship. Jason McMillan, town staff, the engineering and public works. Just to speak about the questions on infrastructure. Fantastic question, and you're bang for raising that concern. One of the really interesting projects that we're taking this year in 2026 is it's an engineering study that we're partnering with Inverness County on. It's a master planning exercise essentially for the town. So it's a municipal infrastructure study. It's going to look at our existing municipal infrastructure with Port Hawkesbury and community Port Hastings in a couple of different ways. We're going to be looking at the current state of repair for our existing facilities and buried piping. We're going to be looking at our asset management practices and information and updating those asset registries. We're going to be looking at capacity analysis for existing systems. We're going to be producing and calibrating water system models and sewer system models, which is a real important piece for us to be able to analyze how we can adequately service this development in our community. And we're confident that we have that capacity right now. Additionally, it's going to be a good study to help support capital investment decisions for council moving forward with addressing any potential gaps and pinch points that we might have in our service. So I don't know if that addresses your questions directly, but it's going to be an important piece of work for us moving forward in the community. And that area directly, we're as the project evolves, and Mr. Doyle alluded to this, it is still in concept. We will be working with the consulting engineering teams for the developers once the design is moved through the concept stage to make sure that we're maintaining services appropriately.
So we're on the third call for presentations proposing. Is there anyone else who would like to speak? So I'd like to now call for presentations in favor. Okay, Cheryl? You want to take the mic? No. Can you introduce yourself? Although everybody probably knows you, but that's okay.
Hi, Honorable Mayor and Council. Most people do know me, but for those who don't, my name is Cheryl DeVoe Daniel. And I'm here to, I've been here 23 years, came here 23 years ago. And so I've been a resident for a fair amount of time. My background, for those who don't know, I was in human resources. I was transferred here with EDS. And for the past few years, I've currently co-chaired the Straight Richmond Housing Matters Coalition for the past 2 years with Amanda Mumbercat. And I've been a board member there since 2018. So Mayor Beaton can attest to this, that I came on board, that board in 2019, and we talked about it's seeing this come almost to fruition after all these years. So it's really exciting. I also sit on the Nova Scotia Not-for-Profit Housing Association. I have for the last 3 years, and that they have a provincial voice for all of the nonprofits. I also have spent 6 years at the Straight Richmond Community Health Board. And for those in town here, they do know that I've been on the, I currently sit on the Community Development and Advisory Committee. Okay. And I was a former board and executive member with the Street Area Chamber of Commerce. So that's kind of my background. I'm going to read from my notes because I have great memory, but it's short. Our community has been facing a critical, affordable rental housing shortage for some time now, with vacancy rates practically non-existent and rent costs rising beyond residents' affordable budgets. Too many of our residents, including young families, seniors, and workers, are struggling to find safe, secure, and affordable places to live. Partnering of New Dawn and our local at-home housing association proposal to build a 55-unit complex on this site I think it's just wonderful news for our community. New Dawn has the resources, proven years of experience, and capital to ensure that through the sale of this property, successful completion of this proposed venture was definitely going to take place. Although At Home Housing Association, it's only a newly formed association and nonprofit association. Tom Gunn has had a lot to do with that. It's been very successful in building valuable partnerships, not only with New Dawn, but with known entities and the affordable housing realm and community stakeholders. They've done a fabulous job. The new board is really, really diverse, and it's done an excellent job, and it needs to be commended for that. Although it had At Home Association, I support the housing development project and believe it's vital to the growth of our town because it will provide much needed housing to income earners and retired seniors and students, supporting, like they said, a mix of incomes, enabling seniors, young families, and persons with disabilities to support one another. It aligns with the town of Port Hawkesbury housing strategy and the federal and provincial housing initiatives. It supports the diversity of our town by providing much needed quality, affordable units. The location for the housing project is ideally suited and within walking proximity to health services, transit, grocery stores, recreation facilities, children's playground, just to name a few. It will ensure that the essential workforce, teachers, nurses, service staff, can be near their jobs and contribute to the local economy. It will allow seniors who wish to sell their homes, it's giving them some affordable alternatives so that they do not need to move out of our community like a lot of them have done previously because there's been no options. And it will also help to free up the housing stock for those who are seeking to buy a home for any home or for the first time. Having a safe, secure, and affordable place to live relieves stress, and it's directly linked to better physical and mental health, which in turn creates less dependence on our social and healthcare systems. The development will enhance diversity and attract individuals from varying age groups and incomes to our area, which we desperately need. It will help stem the flow of current residents moving from our town to better housing options elsewhere. I encourage council to approve the donation sale of this property for proposed housing development to ensure that the town of Port Hawkesbury remains an inclusive, vibrant, and accessible place to live for everyone.
Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
I would ask if anyone else would like to speak.
Yeah, I don't think I need the.
No, you don't. You're good there.
Yeah. My name's John Willett. I'm past president of the Chamber of Commerce, speaking on behalf of the Chamber in support of the project. I also have 2 adult children that live at home that I'd like to have.
What kind of conflict?
Anyway, the first in-person meeting we had as a Chamber of Commerce, we went around the table to ask, you know, what kinds of things do our members need from us? And without fail, I thought it was going to be, we're struggling to find employees. We're struggling to find employees. And the response was, we can find employees, a place for them to live. So as Todd was saying, attracting and retaining workers, we need a place for them to live. So that's why the chamber got actively involved with the project. We have some, we're really happy that New Dawn is incubating, in a way at home. And that it will be a local organization that represents the community. We like the focus on sustainability. None of us want to do big sales to keep a roof over people's homes. So the mix of market, and affordable housing, makes a lot of sense. We hope there's an emphasis on local, for the work that gets done, that the trades, that all of that has benefits our members as much as possible. And we hope it's just the beginning of some housing projects, both in town, but in Richmond County as well. So, the chamber is very pleased to offer its support. It's been partnering with both the town of Port Hawkesbury and the county of Richmond, because we see this as a huge priority for the 350 chamber members. The chamber is celebrating 75 years this year, and the business community needs to have employees and customers. So we're fully behind it, and we really support the town's leadership in this role, and taking this step. So basically, that's it from the Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you very much. Anybody else like to speak in favor for the project? Yeah. Trying to get the mic online.
That's okay. We're gonna talk really loud, okay?
Yeah, no.
Thank you for inviting us today, your worship, town councilors, distinguished guests. My name is Karen McLean, and I'm here representing the Rock Society with two of our members, Stephanie Myatt and Stacy Woodrow. We're here to speak in favor of the development. The Rock Society's been supporting individuals of all abilities in the region for over 50 years. And one of the most persistent challenges is the shortage of safe, accessible, and affordable housing. This is why we're here today, to voice our strong support for the proposed Macquarie Drive development.
My name is Stephanie Mind, and I'm a ROC member. I'm lucky to have the apartment, but I know many people who struggle to find safe and affordable housing. As a strong advocate for human rights, I believe everyone deserves the security. That's why I support this project. I'm Stacy Woodrow, also a member of the ROC, I have mobile challenges, and the topics are very hard to find here. I love it. A place of my own, knowing that 30% of those units will be fully accessible gives me a real hope.
The development brings 55 new homes, a mix of 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units, offering market affordable and deeply affordable housing. The partnership with New Dawn Enterprises and At Home House gives us confidence this will be well designed, community focused project for the long term. On behalf of the ROC and alongside Stephanie and Stacy, we're proud to support this development.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak in favor?
Good evening, everybody. My name is Joe Pratt. For those who don't know who I am, most of you do. I just wanted to share a few things, and I'm not gonna take very much of your time. I came to this town 56 years ago. I was only a baby. I ended up marrying my wife and raising our family here in Port Hawkesbury over the last 56 years. And I do want to say tonight, as I stand here in front of all of you, that I am very proud to say that I'm a citizen of Port Hawkesbury. The reason I say that is because of the civility that's been shown in this room tonight. There's nobody attacking anybody. Everything is running exactly the way it should be. I've seen a lot of projects come and go over those 56 years. But I really believe this is one of the most positive I've seen in a long time. I commend all the communities involved.
Anybody else like to speak in favor? So I have to ask a second time, would anybody else like to speak in favor? And for a third and final time, would anybody else like to speak in favor? Thank you, everyone. I will now call on our CAO, Terry Doyle, to review written submissions.
Yes, your worship. I'll just indicate the letters received in favor and opposed. So submissions in favor included a letter from Nova Scotia Community College, Street Area Campus, town resident Allison McCachran, town resident Debbie Gagnon, YMCA of Cape Breton, town resident Cher McDaniel, and the Lee Side Society. Written submissions opposed was one, and that was from Craig Powell.
Okay, thank you very much. And I would ask for a motion of adjournment.
So moved.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor Barrett. Do we have a seconder?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Yes. Any opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.